Hello, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Matthew Mediator. I'm your mediator, but you can call me Matt. How's everyone doing today?
Very well.
Good, how are you?
Good. Now, would you like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Principal Dixon.
I'm Miss Washington,
Okay.
so I'm the parent of the student.
Now that we get to introduce each other, let me go over what a mediation is. Mediation is an attempt at creating a settlement of a dispute or controversy by setting up an independent person, myself, between two contending parties in order to aid them in settlement of their disagreement. The goal is to hopefully come out with an agreement that makes everyone happy. Now, before we start, I want everyone to know that this is completely confidential. Whatever is said in here will stay between us unless both parties agree otherwise. My role will be to listen to each side of the dispute and attempt to provide my input, so hopefully you both can come with agreement when we finish. Now, Ms. Washington, would you like to start?
Sure. So I am a parent of my child who is a sophomore in high school, and he transferred into high school at the beginning of the year, and I just really want the best for my son, Brandon. He was doing very well in school, and then one day last week he came home with a lump on his head. He had broken glasses and a split lip. So, after questioning, he finally told me that he was in a fight with another student, Charles, and Brandon told me that the fight happened on the town green after the two boys got off the bus together. So, as this is not the usual stop for the school bus, I'm confused to how this all happened. So I called Principal Dixon to ask about the fight, and he did not know about the incident. The principal, he called me the next day to say that the situation was handled, and that was all. So, I assumed that Charles was punished, but Brandon said that he was in the class the next day and was bragging about the fight. So Charles did not get suspended or, given any detention, nothing. This is outrageous. So, I'm aware that the school came up with some hippie new age policy or discipline program. It's something called community, but I don't know, I guess I know nothing about it. And I want Charles suspended, or at least given an in-school suspension. And I want him out of all of Brandon's classes. I don't want him near him. I want it noted on Charles' permanent record and any other future school or college to know about his behavior, because it's unacceptable. I called Principal Dixon to schedule a meeting, and it was canceled before I can even go. And, this makes me even more angry and more concerned. I think that Principal Dixon is just rude to cancel the meeting with the school issue over the importance of the safety of, my child and his students. So I'm questioning whether the principal is even taking this issue seriously. And I called the superintendent, and they scheduled a meeting before, me and Principal Dixon with the mediator from the school board. But I want this issue resolved quickly.
Okay.
I don't want it to be dragged on for Brandon. He's been through so much enough, and I just want this done and settled so that, life can go on as usual. I'm worried about the major repercussions and how it will look for college application time for Brandon. Yeah. So I'm just a concerned parent.
Okay. Principal?
So, as we know, I'm a principal. It's a successful high school. I was the vice principal for a few years, and I took over this school as principal at the beginning of last year. Last year was rough. It was the first year of me being a principal, but this year is much smoother. Our school is full of different kids with different needs and also from different cultures. It makes me proud to be part of such a diverse community, which is why I instituted a new program last year. I was trying to get it going while I was vice principal, but the old principal was close to retirement and wasn't looking for any new programs. But the community program starts with each freshman class. They spend a lot of the lunch, guidance, and homeroom period doing icebreakers, class trips, and 3-day orientation with an overnight class trip, and community service projects in school and out of school. The freshmen from last year, now sophomores, are a very tight group of 200 kids. The model's working well with the new freshmen this year too, And I'm thinking about publishing an article about this in the future because it just seems to be very beneficial. It brings the students together, and you don't see that often in school settings where they're all so close together. But people who transfer into the school don't start as freshmen don't get to participate in the program. So this year Brandon was a student who transferred. So he didn't start with the class last year. So it was probably a culture shock to find a group of sophomores as close in as this class. And since he didn't have the same experience as last year, I noticed that he was having trouble finding a group of friends. Transferring is hard, but I guess the program makes that harder. He's been doing well academically, but I've noticed that he wasn't doing too well socially, and to be honest, he's been a bit of a bully. Since they're so close, bullying one student means that the rest of the students stand up to the bully. So Miss Washington called me last week to ask about the fight on the town green, and it was the first I heard of it, so I called the bus driver. He said that Brandon and another student, Charles, requested to get off the bus at the town green, which is not normal because it's not their normal stop, but sometimes students get off at the green to go to the candy shop or the bike shop before walking home. So the bus driver said that they did not look upset or anything. Didn't seem unusual. And I spoke with Charles's parents. They said that Charles noticed Brandon picking on other students, and Charles told him to stop. Charles told his parents that Brandon told him that he would stop if he made him stop by fighting him, and Charles accepted the challenge. Obviously, I don't condone violence, but this incident happened outside of the school property and not during school hours. I'm reluctant to make this a school issue because if I made everything that's outside of school, a school issue such as smoking pot, parties, or other teenage activities that happen off school property, that'll just become a bigger issue. This isn't my responsibility, it's more of a parenting issue.
Okay. So, I just have a question. How do you think you could, what's the community? That's what it's called?
Yeah.
How do you think you could improve that to make it so transfer students can, fit in with the students who have been doing it for a year before? Because to me it seems like Brandon was kind of put in an awkward situation. But I think you could agree with not knowing that he's not as close to everyone else as the other students were because they had a year doing the program. Do you think there's anything you could change to that could make him feel more welcome?
I mean, it's a pretty basic program. I mean, obviously, like I said, transferring is hard, but, I feel like it's more of the kids are so close-knit together. I mean, it's a nice group of kids. I feel like transferring in, it might be hard, but I feel like he just maybe didn't adjust too well because he started bullying people. I don't think it's an issue of the program. I think it's an issue of him bullying. I mean, I guess the program could be adjusted. Maybe it could be spread out over all 4 years to ensure everyone's included. But, it's...
Yeah, okay.
I thought the situation was handled. How about the time when I called you to ask about the fight and you didn't know about the incident, and then you called me the next day and you said that the issue was handled.
Well, yeah, it was handled. I mean...
So, can I ask exactly what did you do about when you heard about the fight?
I mean, Charles wasn't the only one in the fight. Brandon was in the fight too, so if I discipline Charles, I have to discipline Brandon.
Okay. Did you discipline anyone?
Well, I mean, it happened off school property and not during school hours.
So
I mean, how am I supposed
what
to be
authority
liable
is
for that?
it?
I
So
shouldn't
whose
have
authority
authority
is it?
over that.
Is it the bus driver's fault? Or?
No, they're not even on the bus. If the fight happened on the bus, it'd be the school's fault. If it
Well, I mean,
happened on
that's
school
another
property.
thing too. How are the bus drivers allowed to stop at a random stop? That's great that the students want to get off to, get candy or whatever you said, but how is that even in the safety guidelines that you're allowed to stop at a random stop?
I mean, it's just always what has been done. It's never been to get off and go fight each other.
Alright, let's take a quick little break from this, but excuse me. So, okay. So from what I'm hearing it's excuse me. Sorry, I'm actually dying right now. Where's my water? So from what I'm understanding so far is, from what you heard was, Brandon may have been picking on another kid because maybe he felt like an outcast considering he transferred in, and so maybe Brandon got a fight. And you said that all the other students, excuse me, Principal Dixon, can you
Yeah.
pay attention, please?
Oh, sorry. I don't mean to be rude. I didn't notice. I was on my phone so much.
Yeah, that's rude.
Just have a lot of emails. It's a busy high school.
I'm sure you got them all handled though, right?
Alright, let's take it easy. Oh god, I'm not prepared. Okay, maybe we should a quick break. We can talk. We'll have a caucus. We'll talk to everyone individually. It's a little hot in here. Ms. Washington, would you like to leave the room for a little bit?
Sure.
So I can talk to Principal Dixon. Okay, Principal Dixon. So, take me through it one more time. Kind of what happened, because I feel like there's one thing missing. From the stories, like you said, you took care of. From what I heard, you said you took care of the situation. How exactly did you take care of it?
I mean, like I said, it's not this isn't the school's responsibility.
Okay.
If it happened during school hours, I would take responsibility for it. And I would, but kids fight outside of school all the time, and we don't discipline them all the time. We never discipline them if it's outside of school. That's for parents to discipline or the authorities to discipline. So, yeah, when she asked me to take care of it, maybe I just brushed it off and said, yeah, it's taken care of. But, she wants me to discipline Charles, but her son was involved too, so I would have to discipline her son the same exact way she wants me to discipline Charles. And I mean, I don't know if she wants that, and if she wants that, then sure, but I mean, I want to have a good relationship with all of the parents of my students, especially Brandon's parents now. And I don't want this program to be shut down by the superintendent's office if this isn't resolved through the mediation. I guess I'll admit that the program doesn't account for students transferring in. There might be a little downfall to it. So it makes it harder for them to integrate into school. It might be a problem for the program in general, the school, and the article that I want to publish. I obviously don't want the program to be shut down because I wanted to write the article. So I guess I'm just looking to make sure that the relationship with the parents, especially Brandon's, are mended and.
Okay, so what I'm getting from all this, it's you want to resolve this because you think the program has its pros, but you're admitting that there's something wrong with it, and you want to make Brandon, his parents, and himself feel like welcome. You don't want them to have like bad feelings towards you. So you want to get this. I think we all want to get this resolved. Okay. Let's go for now. I'll talk to Ms. Washington and see what she has to say. Thank you. Okay. Yes. With Principal Dixon, I heard what you want to say. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell me that you might not have said before, or?
Well, I didn't want to tell the school that I recently got a divorce, and Brandon has been acting out lately, so I'm aware of his actions.
Yeah.
That's the reason for the move and the transfer to the new school. The old school was stating that he needed counseling, but I'm reluctant because of the stigma of him being crazy. And I just wanted to discuss it all. Well, actually, I'm kind of reluctant to discuss it all, to be honest.
Yeah.
I really want this resolved, quietly and respectively to my student and myself. Just, to better him and help him and myself in the situation of my divorce. It's been tough on both of us.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, alright. So basically, again, what you're saying is that Brandon and yourself have been going through, or Brandon has been going through a hard time, and he's been acting out, but that you don't think he hasn't always been like that. Was he? Is it since
No, he was never like this until the whole divorce thing.
Okay.
And I'm really against the whole counseling. I think that, with my parenting skills, I'm able to better him. And I felt that, going to the school in this, I was still naive to this whole community program, but maybe if he warms up to it and I can, work with the principal and work with, the staff of the school, we can help him out.
Okay.
Because I do really want him to do well, and I do want him to fit in. And I am concerned. It's just that now with Brandon in his classes, and I know with Charles in his classes, I know how Brandon is acting out. I really just want it noted on Charles' permanent record that, of his behavior, and I want him out of all of Brandon's classes.
Okay.
Just because I know how my son will act out.
Okay. Alright. I'll call Principal Dixon back in and we can discuss, hopefully resolve this. Okay. So right now I kind of want to go over ways we think we could get past this, because from what I understand, both of you kind of just want this to go away. But we need to come up with specific things that we can make this so we're just done. So would any of you like to say some ideas? Anything's fine. Let's just brainstorm.
I really don't want counseling for my kid. I really don't want that. I just want Brandon to be out of his classes for the time being. I mean, Charles.
Right.
Charles.
Well, I want the program for the community program to stay in place.
Okay. Sad about it.
And I don't really want to have to discipline over the incident on the green, because if I discipline one out of school, off school property incident, I have to discipline them all, and there's a surplus of those. So I'm not looking to discipline Charles, because then I'd have to discipline Brandon. And
Well, I'm also concerned about the bus routing. I don't feel comfortable knowing that my son can be let off at any stop and him come home with bruises on his face with his glasses broke. As a reasonable person, I would hope that you wouldn't want your son or daughter to come home from the bus like that. And same for you, not to put you under the bus, but I just think that I just think that that's something that needs to be
Okay.
top of my priority.
Yeah, so so can you see from her point of view of why it might be bad? Not just for the fact that Brandon could have come home with black eyes, but that the bus driver can just drop them off wherever. I feel like that's just as a normal person, that's kind of not safe, especially with
I guess when you think about it, if the bus driver hadn't done that, the fight in this whole situation might not have happened. Or if it did happen, it might have happened on school grounds where I could, I would have the authority to discipline it.
Do you guys mind if I make a suggestion? I think I know what both of you want, and so obviously I think you both want this to go away. Now for my just being unbiased, I don't know if it's. I know you want the the community program to stay, but I think that especially factoring in transfer students, it can be hard for them to fit in because you say that these students are very tight. So when someone comes in, if one person in the group doesn't necessarily like them or is indifferent towards them, then the other group might feel the same way. So do you think there's a way you could come with a way where you can make Brandon feel more fit in there? Can you extend the program, make some changes for it?
I mean, I guess the program for the first years has produced such good results. Maybe the program should just be extended to the whole school to create an actual it's commune unity in caps. So maybe if the whole school was united, it would be able to incorporate transfers and just everyone.
How would you feel about that?
I agree. I just, for the time being, like I said, I don't want Charles and Brandon together. So I want to know what we can do for that to resolve that issue.
Is there any ideas?
I mean, we could switch their homeroom and then they would be in separate classes. We could, I don't know maybe we could just move them both to 2 different homerooms so they don't feel like one's being punished.
Right. I agree.
And as far as
Oh no.
as far as the bus routing goes, I think it'd be best to not have them stop wherever the students say. But
That can be arranged. We can just stick to the designated route.
And I'm not saying that my son is not right. I'm just protecting my son because I'm worried for him. And I'd worry for any other kid too. I wouldn't want to see them, get beat up or come home to their parent.
okay, so what I think we have is 3 things. So you would have both students switch homerooms. You would try extending the program to factor in transfer students and make it throughout the whole time at the school. And you would change the way the bus route so this way there's no. So hopefully that prevents further conflict of them just getting off wherever. Does that sound good?
I think that works.
I think that works for me too.
Okay.
Just
Done.
give me something to sign.
You can sign this for now.
Thank
Nailed
you.
it.